Base 6b, literally 3 lines up from the bottom. Hechi Gami Gemardin. So also we dedicate our learning in the Zechus of the Nishon of Eliezer ben Chronomos. We also, unfortunately, again, the terrible news out of Eretz Yisrael this past Shabbos with the terror attack in the community of Chalamish and Beit Zuf that claimed the lives of a father and his 2 children. So we dedicate our learning in the Zechus of Aliyah for the Nishon of Yosef Solomon together with his children Elad and Chaya, whose levayas are taking place today in Modi'in. We hope that have an Aliyah, the families have a Chama, and Haravaya Kodesh Baruch Hu should allow this Chodesh of Av to not just be another month of Tsar and sorrows for Klal Yisrael, but in Eretz Hashem to truly be a Menachim Av for us as individuals and for us as a people. All right, so remember again, we're discussing the topic of Pshara. So again, specifically, we're discussing the interface between Din and Pshara in terms of which is the better approach. Should one go ultimately again for Din, for strict justice? Should one try to go for compromise? We saw Machlokes. One thing is clear, which is according to everyone, once a Beis Din has reached a Gemar Din, once a Beis Din has reached a verdict, at that point in time, it is usher back to Pshara. In other words, even if you say that Pshara is a good thing, Pshara is a good thing at the outset of the process. But once the Beis Din has already reached a conclusion, they can't then go back and revert to Pshara. So the Gemara says the following: "Hey, Kidami Gemar Din." If that's the case, so what is Gemar Din? In other words, at what point in time do we say that a verdict has been reached? So the Gemara says, "Amar Yehuda Marav, Ish Ploni Ata Chayev, Ish Ploni Ata Zakai." Literally, again, Gemar Din means when a verdict has been rendered. So and so you're innocent. So and so you are guilty. Amar Rav, so Rav said, "Allah Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha." So we'll say Rav said that the halacha was Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha. Remember again, what did Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha say? Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha said mitzvah livtzoa, that there is a mitzvah ultimately again to reach compromise. So better to go ahead and accept Pshara than it is to go ahead and accept Din. So comes along Rav, and Rav says that halacha was Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha. Is that so? V'amar Rav Huna Talmidi de Rav Hava, who was a Talmud of Rav, used to say, when litigants would come before Rav Huna, would you like me to adjudicate this case as din, or would you like me to do pshara? So we'll say, here you have Rav saying that halacha follows Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha, that says it's a mitzvah to effect compromise. Yet Rav Huna, who was a Talmud of Rav, when litigants would come before him, he would ask the litigants, do you want din or do you want pshara? But if indeed the halacha followed Rav, it means that Rav Huna, his Talmud, should only offer pshara, not din. What does it mean? Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha said that it's a mitzvah to go ahead and do pshara. Top of Zayin, we'll say mitzvah lemeikra lahu idina ba'isu pshara ba'isu. What Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha meant was that it's a mitzvah to what? To offer the litigants the option. The mitzvah is to put forward before the litigants their option. Do you want din or do you want pshara? And then it's up to the litigants ultimately to determine or to decide what they want. To which the Gemara says, well, if that's the case, Hanu Tanakama. Did Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha saying the same thing as the Tanakama? Mitzvah. Rabbi said, community between them is a mitzvah. According to Tanakama, although the litigants have the right to choose, do they want din or do they want pshara? There is no mitzvah upon the judge to put forward those options. According to Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha, there is a mitzvah upon the judge when the litigants come before the judge. The judge is supposed to say to them, do you want pshara or do you want din? The judges, so not they're not community in Tanakama. Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha, it's according to Tanakama, the litigants have the right to ask for pshara. According to Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha, the judge has an obligation to proactively offer the option of pshara. So the Gemara says the following: Rabbi Shmuel ben Karcha savar mitzvah, Tanakama savar rishus. Karcha says that it is a mitzvah for the dayan to offer the option of pshara, whereas the Tanakama holds that it is a rishus. In other words, the dayan need not offer this option, but the litigants have the option to go ahead and choose it for themselves. That is not the same thing as the Shita of Shimon Menasio. Ika benay, here's the nafkamina. Mishatishma divrayan va'atayodeh lehechon hadin nota. Iatarashay lomer lahen su'u ubitzu. Will then be in a case where the dayan already heard the different sides, and he knows ultimately again, which direction the judgment leans. Take a look at the Rashi for just a moment. It's the second wide line from the top. The Tanakama, afilu shama divreim rashai livtsoa ad sheyigmor hadin v'yomar zeh zakai v'zeh chayiv. It was according to Tanakama, even if the judge heard the respective arguments, and even in his mind he knows that the din, the judgment, slants towards one of the sides, as long as a final verdict has not been delivered, pshara is still on the table. The Rabbi Shimon Menasya, misha tishma es divrayim v'yadata la'echa nota af agav lo nigmar in rashay livtsoa. It was according to Rabbi Shimon Menasya, once the judge hears the different arguments, and in his mind judgment leans towards one side, at that point in time, pshara is no longer an option. And this argues Rabbi Tanchum Bar Chanina. So just so you know, this machlokes, we're going to resolve it in Mirat Hashem tomorrow, but this is a fundamental machlokes, a machlokes in the very essence of the Jewish legal system. Do we advocate for din? Do we advocate for pshara? That's a machlokes. And then the sub-machlokes is, even if you say that pshara is a good thing, up until what point in time, until when is pshara an option? In other words, how far along in the din process must one go before pshara is no longer on the table? So we're going to resolve both of those issues. The Gemara now says, this drasha that we said before of, remember yesterday the Gemara quoted the pasuk of Botzea Beirach Ni'etz Hashem. This is Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Lazar, when he said that pshara is a bad thing, but rather again one should advocate for din. So Rabbi Lazar quoted a pasuk. The pasuk that he quoted was Botzea Beirach Ni'etz Hashem. He who blesses the one who advocates for compromise is a blasphemer. So Rabbi Tanchum Bar Chanina has a different drasha. He says, "Lo ne'amar mikra zeh ela k'neged ma'aseh egel." This pasuk about Tzeh Beirach Ni'etz Hashem was actually said corresponding to the egel. Listen to the golden calf. This is actually amazing. Shneimar vayar Aaron vayiven mizbeach lefanav. So we'll say, so what happens? So the pasuk says that Aaron saw, and he built a mizbeach. He built an altar. Mara, what did Aaron see that caused him to build an altar that ultimately would be used for the egel? Aaron saw that Hur, his nephew, had already been killed by the Jewish people, because Hur tried to stand up against Klal Yisrael, against building the golden calf, and he saw that Hur was murdered. Amar, ilo shamana lahu hashta avdu likid avdu b'chor. So Aaron said, listen, if I don't go along with their plans for an egel, they're going to kill me the same way they killed Hur. Now we'll say, now what's the chatna? Aaron says, Umekayim bi im yarog b'mikdash Hashem kohen v'navi v'lohavya lohu takanta li'olam. Aaron was nervous, that's what? That if they would kill the Kohen Gadol, if they would kill Aaron, that would be an act for which there would be no tshuva. And I will say, so therefore again, Aaron felt, if you look at Rashi, Rashi says, "V'lohavi lehu takanta." The sofan la'asos came b'Zechariah ben Yoyada v'Zechariah b'Is alkach. So remember again, this is actually the Gemara brings down that when Nebuchadnezzar came into the Beis Hamikdash, remember again, he saw the blood bubbling on the floor of the Beis Hamikdash, and he said, "My hi, what's this?" And remember again, that was the blood of Zechariah the Navi, who was killed by Klal Yisrael. Killing the Navi, killing the Kohen Gadol has no takana, has no tshuva. So therefore, again, Aaron says, here's the problem. If I stand up to them, Aaron doesn't have a problem with giving his life. What Aaron has a problem with is what? Enabling Klal Yisrael to do something for which there will be no tshuva. For the act of avodah zarah, there'll be tshuva. For the act of killing the Kohen Gadol within the confines, right, by Har Sinai, for that there will be no tshuva. For the havilu takanta lo lemutav, so I said, this is amazing. Aaron himself makes the decision. He makes the compromise, right? And the compromise is better for Klal Yisrael to go ahead and worship Avodah Zarah, for which they can do tshuva, than to kill me, the Kohen Gadol, for which there is no tshuva. So I say, so amazingly enough, Rabbi Tanchum Bar Chanina says, this is Botzea Beirach Ni'etz Hashem. That Aaron tried to make a compromise, but his compromise, in fact, was blasphemy. In other words, his compromise was wrong. Aaron has good machshavas, but ultimately, again, the machshava was incorrect. he made a mistake by not standing up to Klal Yisrael. He should have stood up to them, say, Lo zu haderech, this is not what we do. If they kill him, they kill him. But you have to stand up for what's right. Which also, the Aruch Chaim HaKadosh points out that if you look at the end of the Maaseh Egel, at the end of the story, the Torah calls the Egel as ha'egel asher asa Aaron, the Egel that Aaron made. So Aruch Chaim HaKadosh says, why does Torah have to say that? We know that Aaron made it. We read the story. Why do you have to say it? Aruch Chaim says it's a shtach, meaning it's the Torah's way of saying, Aaron, you were wrong. You were wrong. I understand you made a compromise. I understand you had a cheshbon, but you were wrong. You should have stood up, should have stood your ground, should have drawn your line in the sand, and not have allowed this to occur. So the Gemara goes weiter. V'hani tanoi, poter mayim reishis modon may darshive. So these tanoim who reject the earlier drasha of poter mayim, what do they do with this pasuk? So I recorded this pasuk from Mishnah yesterday. Poter mayim reishis modon. Literally, again, the opening of the waters is the beginning of judgment. My darshibe. So if you don't darshan it, as we darshan it in yesterday's daf, so what do you do with it? First white line of Zayin Amud Aleph. Kidurav Hamnuna. They darshan it to the currents of Hamnuna. What is Hamnuna? They do Amrav Hamnuna. Ein tchilas dino shel adam nidon. Let's say very dramatic Gemara. That after 120, when a person is judged by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the first thing he's judged for is Bittul Torah. Rashi says, Al Divrei Torah, Shelo Asak Batorah. The first matter of judgment that we have to face after 120 is, did we learn enough Torah? So the Gemara says, Shena Emar, Poter Mayim, Reishis Madon. So it says the idea over here is, Poter Mayim, meaning Mayim, Rashi points out, is a reference to Torah. Torah is often compared to Mayim. So one who exempted himself, Poter Mayim, one who exempted himself from learning, Reishis Mado. This is the first matter about which a person is judged after 120. Amar Afuna, Hai Tigra, Litzinura de Bidka de Maya. Another drasha. Afuna says it was like that. Machlokes is like an overflowing river that begins to create its own channels of water. Kevan de Ravach. So we're saying if the stream overruns its banks, so the water begins to cultivate its own streams. If you don't stop that right there, then what happens? Then the streams continue to flow. At a certain point in time, you can no longer dam it off. Same idea with machlokes. When machlokes begins, I will say, if you don't nip it in the bud, it takes on a life of its own. Kevan de Ravach Ravach. Abai Kashisha, the other used to say, Dami Laguda de Gamla. Kevan de Kam. Listen, this is amazing. He says that machlokes is like Guda de Gamla. If you look at Rashi says Guda de Gamla, Dapin Shal Gesher, like the planks of a bridge. Betchila keshadar sanalei menahanos v'sof mischazos v'nikvaos b'mkomon v'hachinami kesha adam marbe b'kitata mischazekes uba v'lo mikravos. Let's listen to how beautiful this is. Not so beautiful, but incredibly profound. Machlokes is like a footbridge. What happens when you go on a footbridge? When the bridge is new, so the planks move about. However, after enough time of walking on the bridge, the planks settle in place. So machlokes, I will say, the Gemara says is the same idea. That when machlokes begins, you have an opportunity to stop it. While it's still a bit shaky and not embedded in place, you could stop it. However, once again it's become established enough, then it's set in place and you can no longer uproot it. It will say an incredible yisod just in the dynamic of machlokes. If you encounter machlokes in life, you can't. People sometimes think that machlokes will fix itself. Machlokes never fixes itself. If you want to be proactive and fix it, then be proactive and fix it. But understand that if you let it be, only one thing happens, which is it becomes more embedded in place. Incredible yisod. So the Gemara goes weiter. Hahu davaka amar va'azil. Well, the Gemara gives a couple of different examples of people used to have different kinds of sayings. Tovia dishama v'adish chalfuha bishta meya. Praiseworthy is the person, we'll say, who hears his own degradation and doesn't say anything. He saves himself from 100 bad things. If you look at Rashi says, Tovia dishama v'adish ashrav sheshomeach kerpasa v'shosei. We'll say praiseworthy is a person who hears his own degradation, never says anything. She said, so we'll say the idea is It's when you hear your own degradation and you don't respond, that's a kapara. That's a kapara. That takes the place of 100 punishments. Rabbi Shmuel Silber, Kroksiv, there's a pasuk that supports this idea. Poter mayim reishis madon. So the Gemara says, madon reish mea dini. The idea, reish mea dini. So madon, poter mayim. He looks at Rashi. He says, poter mayim, hamaschil uposech bektata hu tchilas mea dini. The Rebbe say ultimately again, poter mayim, he who opens up machlokes, madon is like mea dini. Ultimately has 100 judges. I want to say something about this. Meaning, this doesn't mean that a person is supposed to be a shmata. A person is supposed to be a welcome mat. I will say there are times where simply, again, you don't have to respond. Some people have to respond to everything, which is a very bad midah. In life, there are many things you just have to let it roll off you, right? And again, if you let it roll off and you don't respond, you could save yourself from an incredible amount of heartache. There was another person who used to walk around saying, Atarti tlas ganva lo miktil. A thief often will not be killed by thefts, which is another way of saying that you can get away with some things in life. Right? For 2 or 3 thefts, the thief might get away with it. But ultimately, what? The thief is caught as a result of his negative behaviors. Amar li Shmuel Rabbi Yehuda. So Shmuel said Rabbi Yehuda, we have a pasuk that supports this. Kroksiv, there's a pasuk that supports this. So the Gemara says, Ko Amar Hashem al shlosha pishei Yisrael va'al arba lo ashivenu. For three sins, I'll let them go. But on the 4th one, I will have to go ahead and exact retribution. So the idea is you can get away with some things in life, but at the end of the day, l'maisa, there's going to be divine retribution for everything we do. Hahuda ava amar ka amar va'azil. Shav biri l'shalmana, v'chadi la'avid bisha. There can be 6 pits for the tzaddikim, and again, 7 pits for the tzaddikim, and they're able to escape them or able to crawl out of them all. But 1 pit derails the wicked one. If you take a look at Rashi, Rashi says, Shev biri l'shalmana, sheva boros keruyos l'ragle ish shalom umikula binatzel. 7 pits are dug for the complete person, and he is saved from all of them, but the wicked falls into it. In other words, we'll say, what does this mean? That the righteous person is able to rebound from multiple situations. The pit represents the pitfalls in life. The righteous is able sometimes he could avoid the pits, but even when he falls into the pits, he's able to go ahead and rebound. He's able to go and pick himself back up. The Russia, when he falls into the pit, often is unable to go ahead extricate himself. The crux of that supports this. Kisheva yipol tzaddik v'kam, v'rasha yipol ba'achos. The tzaddik could fall down 7 times, but he still gets back up. But the rasha ultimately again only falls once. It was an incredible yisod that sometimes the true measure of personal piety is not necessarily the ability to avoid the failure. It's the ability to rebound. Everyone fails. What makes the tzaddik is that no matter how many times he fails, he always gets back up. Masha'in came the rasha. As soon as he fails, he's leveled. He simply cannot rebound. The Gemara says, "Hahu davaka amar va'azil the azil mi beidina shakel glime lizmar lizmar zemer v'lezel ba'aracha." So there was a man who used to say that when coming out of Beis Din, even if Beis Din took your cloak, in other words, you were found guilty, and Beis Din took your cloak, make sure to sing a song. Which will say is another way of saying that what? Accept the judgment of Beis Din besimcha. Rabbi Yehuda, Shmuel said to Rabbi Yehuda, Kroksiv, the gam kala amazeh al mekamo yavo b'shalom. Right, the entire nation ultimately, again, when leaving the Beis Din of Moshe Rabbeinu, would come to their place ultimately in peace. So the Gemara goes weiter. Hahuda hava kamar va'azil, hi naima v'dikula shafil. So we'll say, so the Gemara says, another person who used to say, when she sleeps, the basket is lowered. Which I will say, if you look at Rashi says over here, Hi naima v'dikula shafil, kisha min amenas, when the woman dozes, hasal sha'al roshashi nosenes bo pilcho mulacha yadea bo shafil kolomar midoch shiat seila in malach denikaris v'kula mashalosim. When the woman sleeps, the basket is lowered, which is another way of saying, when people are lazy, so productivity is lower, right? The basket lower, meaning productivity is lower. So Rabbi Shmuel Silber, the Kroksiv, we have a pasuk that supports this. Batsaltayim yimach hamikra. Literally, again, when people are lazy, the ceiling sags. Okay, so we'll say it's a profound yet pashut idea. If you're lazy, don't expect great things. Right? If you're lazy and you don't put any effort, then don't expect the results. We'll say what's amazing about this is Gemara's pointing these were just like colloquial things. These are just colloquialisms. These are things that people said. Gemara just pointing the fact that you had psukim that backed up these ideas. So there was a person who used to have a saying, the man in whom I trusted, literally, he raised his fist and stood up against me. So we'll say this sounds to Rabbi Shmuel Silber. Kroksiv supports this. Gam ish shlomi hashavatachti bo. Even the man ultimately again who I thought I had peace with, even that man rose up against me. Pasuk from Tehillim. We'll say, what's the message over there? The message over there is twofold. Number one, be careful who you trust. Be careful who you trust. And we'll say another piece, which is, if there's one thing that's a guarantee in all human relationships, is that those who you love and those who you trust will fail you. Now I know it sounds like a big downer, right? But it's an incredibly important yesod, because sometimes people, you have to understand, people are frail. And therefore, again, even people who love you very much, at some point in time, simply will not come through. Sometimes it's not even because they don't love you. It's not because they don't care. It's just because people are human beings. So you have to live life with an expectation that people fail you. Sometimes people, when someone who they care about or they love fails them, they throws them for such a tailspin they can't recover. If you expect failure as a part of the dynamic of human relationships, then when it happens, you understand it, you're able to expect it, and you're able to rebound from it. Incredible yesod. We'll say this is an amazing Gemara. Listen to this. This is amazing. There was a particular man who used to say, he was talking about his marriage. Kiri chamsin hava aziza afusya de safsira shechivan. Now, rechimsa means literally, when my wife and I were passionately in love, we were able to sleep together on the edge of a sword. Hashta delo aziza rachimtan. Now that the passion has died down a little bit, purya bashisin garmidi lo sagilan. Even a bed that is shisin garmidin is not big enough for us. So what does this mean? Incredible yesod. What he's saying is, when our marriage was passionate, we were able to sleep together next to each other on a very small area. Now that the passion has died down, there's no bed that's big enough for the two of us. It's an incredible, incredible yesod, right? About how, just as an aside, about how important it is to keep passion in a marriage, and how important it is that in a marriage, again, that same islavos and that same excitement and the same passion that often exists in the beginning of a marriage, a couple always has to try to figure out how to keep that with them throughout. So Rav Huna says, again, it's not just true with a passion in a marriage, but it's true with HaKadosh Baruch Hu as well. Rav Huna say, don't use that for Sheva Brachas, by the way. It says you keep it, you tuck it under your belt, you use it for yourself. It's not, so the Gemara goes right there. In the beginning of the pasuk says, in the beginning of our relationship, Baruch Hu says that I became known to you from there, and I spoke to you from on the kaporas. On the kaporas is the lid of the aron. The Tanya, and I will say when it came to the lid of the aron, pasuk Raisa says, aron tisha, the kaporas tefach. The height of the aron was 9 tefachim. The kaporas, the lid itself was 1 tefach. Harikana sara. So we'll say, so the Shechina was within 10 tefachim of us, a very small amount. We were in close proximity to the Shechina. Uksiv ba'bayis shabana mela shlomo shishim amarko ve'esim arachbo ushloshim amakam. So Shlomo HaMelech then builds a larger Beis Hamikdash. Ulubasov ksiv ko amar Hashem hashamayim kisi va'aretz radom ragli. So we'll say, see the progression. We go ultimately again from an aron that's 9 tefachim. Fine. Then that aron was housed in a larger home called the Beis Hamikdash. But ultimately, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Hashamayim kis'i. The heavens. Rebbe Shalom retreats into the heavens. And ultimately, the heaven is my seat. The earth is where I rest my feet. What home can you build for me? A reference to the idea that originally we were in such close proximity to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but then as a result of our Averos, Rebbe Shalom retreats to the heavens. My mashma. So what's the Gemara goes weiter? My mashma, the high losa guru, lishna the kinusha. So remember again, yesterday's daf we learned that if a Talmud is sitting in front of his Rebbe and he hears that his Rebbe has made a mistake in a particular halachic ruling, that the Talmud should not hold back from telling his Rebbe that he's incorrect. And the Gemara quoted the pasuk of Lo Saguru Mipnei Ish. Literally, again, do not be afraid of any man. So the Gemara understood Lo Saguru as lashon of do not withhold. Do not withhold yourself in front of any person. So the Gemara says, "My masha the high saguru lishna the kinushi." How do you know that saguru means halash? Amar Rav Nachman said, "Amar Kra the yayin lo sishta v'lo sega," because the pasuk says, "You shall not drink wine and gather in." Rav Achar Yaakov Amar Mehacha Tachin Bakais Lachma Agra Bakatzrim Ma'achala. Literally, again, she prepares in the summer her bread. Agra Bakatzrim, she gathers in the harvest season her food. Literally, a wise son gathers in the summer. So we'll say you see again constantly the lashon of ogar. The lashon of ogar is lashon of gathering, and therefore lo segar mipnei ish means do not gather yourself, do not withhold yourself in front of any man. If you know the halacha as that, if you know the appropriate halacha, and you see that a mistake is being made, you are encouraged, obligated to speak up, even a Talmud in front of his Rebbe. Amar Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani, Amar Rabbi Yonasan. Kol dayan shedan din emes la'amito mashra shechina b'Yisrael. But say any judge who judges appropriately, who judges correctly, causes the shina to rest within Klal Yisrael. Shnei Amar Elokim nitzav, or I should say Elohim nitzav ba'adas kel. Literally, the judge resides in the assembly of God. Bekerev Elokim yishpot. V'chol dayan shedan din emes la'amito. But I will say any judge who unfortunately does not judge correctly, Gorim l'shchina shetistalik Yisrael, causes the shchina to leave Klal Yisrael. Shnei Amar mishod aniyim. Quotes over here, the pasuk from Tehillim, mishod aniyim. I'm sorry, I just lost the place. Mishod aniyim. So we'll say mishod literally means the oppression of the poor. Ome enkas evyonim atta akum yomar Hashem. Any judge, when I will say, who misappropriates property, taking it from one and giving it to another, not in accordance with the law, HaKadosh Baruch Hu no tell me meno nafsho. The Rebbe will take the life of the judge. I will say, so you have to understand something. When a judge perverts justice, so ultimately what that requires of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is to work harder, so to speak. Meaning that if I'm the judge and I misappropriate property, giving it to one who doesn't deserve it, then I cause HaKadosh Baruch Hu to somehow rework or retool the universe in order to get the property back to the person who really belongs to. Tzibon Shel Olam is resentful of such an individual like that, who literally shares the divine plan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes his life. Shnei Amar Al Tigzol Dal Ki Dalu V'Al Tedake Ani B'Shar Ki Hashem Yariv Rivam. Literally, don't go ahead and oppress those. Don't oppress the poor. Don't oppress the impoverished. Ki Hashem Yariv Rivam, because Hashem will fight their fight. The Kavas Koveim Nefesh. Rabbi Shmuel Nachmani, Rabbi Yonasan. The Olam Yirat Dayin Kilu Cheref Munachas Lo Ben Yirei Kosav. The Gehenim Pesucha Lo Metachtim. Let's say a very profound statement. A Dayin should always see it literally as if there's a sword hanging between his legs, and Gehenna is open from under him. In other words, it's actually the Maharsha's gears over here is that the sword is against his neck. Either way, it's not good. The idea being that there's a lot that hangs in the balance. That a judge should always realize that literally he hovers between life and death. There's a sword against his neck. Gehenna is open under him, and if he does not judge correctly, the stakes are exceptionally high. Shnei Amar, Hine mitaso shel Shlomo. Shishim Giborim Saviv La Migibor Yisrael. Behold the bed of Shlomo. There are 60 strong men surrounding it. And the Gemara understands over here that the 60 strong men were not warriors, but rather again were dayanim, We're Talmidei Chachamim. Kulam achuzei charav milumadei milchama. Ish charbo al yirecho mipachad baleila. So we'll say the Gemara understands in a little bit of a different way. So they're all well versed in the art of war, meaning in this case the art of halacha. Ish charbo al yirecho. Literally, again, each one had the sword standing by their legs. Mipachad baleilos. Out of fear of the night. What's the fear of the night? Mipachad shel gehenom shedome lelayla. Each of them lived with the fear of Gehenna, the fear that ultimately, if they would not make the right judicial decisions, then Gehenna would be waiting for them. What's the meaning of the pasuk? Based David Kamar Hashem. What's the pasuk from Yirmiyah? Based David, house of David Kamar Hashem. Dino laboker mishpat vatzilu gozel miad oshev. So literally, again, judge in the morning, mishpat, and save that which is stolen from the person, from the hands of the thief. Why does it say adjudicate? Why does it say judge in the morning? Do we only judge in the morning and not in the afternoon? Rather, what the Gemara is saying is saying to the judge, if the verdict is as clear to you as the morning, then say it. But if not, don't say it. Which was another way of saying, judge, only render a verdict if what? If it's as clear to you as the morning. But if it's not as clear to you as the morning, then don't say. What does it mean? What does it mean? It's not going to mean, then work harder. Or don't issue a verdict unless you are 1,000% sure of what it is that you're saying. If you're not 1,000% sure, then you have to be mavarer the din a bit more. Then you have to investigate. You have to adjudicate. Which will say, by the way, you understand, it's not just the din. It's not just the din in judges. It's a din in life. That before a person says something, it's so important to measure and so important to make sure that what I'm saying is correct, what I'm saying is appropriate, what I'm saying is meaningful, what I'm saying is necessary. And if you're not sure, what? Don't say it. Don't say it. We'll say, how often do we get ourselves into trouble because we say things, Rav Pam, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, Shiva Taravidas said, you know what the worst word in the English language is? Worst word, don't get nervous, I'm not going to say anything inappropriate, right? The worst word in the English language, Rav Pam said, was, whatchamacallit. Well, why? He says, because if you're saying whatchamacallit, it means that you haven't fully thought out what you are about to say. And how could a Jew open his mouth without knowing what you're going to say? Take a few more moments, think it through, and if you can't figure out the right words, then better off not saying it at all. Not just the din in Dayanim, but a din in every person. They learn it from here. In other words, that a judge should only issue a verdict if he's absolutely sure. Say to wisdom, you are my sister. Both say first wide line, Zainam days. If the verdict is as clear to you as the halacha that your sister is usher to you, but if the verdict is not as clear to you as the halacha that your sister is usher to you, then al tamru, then don't say it. Rabbi Shmuel Levi said, I have 10 people sit in judgment together, or if you have a basin of 10, and they're all sitting in judgment together, kolar taloi bitzavar kulan. Well, I say literally there's a chain, really like a rope, around the neck of all of them. In other words, that they all bear collective responsibility if there is an erroneous ruling that is delivered. It's obvious, as the Gemara. I mean, if they're all part of the Gemar Din, then of course they all have shared responsibility. They will say, why is it necessary? It's necessary dafka for a Talmud who is sitting before his Rebbe. In other words, I would have thought that a Talmud who is sitting before his Rebbe, if the Rebbe makes a mistake, that it's only the Rebbe who's responsible, not the Talmud, to which the answer is no. The Talmud is also responsible. Why? Because if the Talmud is sitting as part of the basement, the Talmud has the obligation to know the halacha as well. And if he goes ahead and makes a mistake in the ruling, even though his Rebbe is there, as we learned before, if the Talmud sees his Rebbe making a mistake in ruling what's the halacha, he needs to speak up. And if he doesn't speak up, he bears responsibility. So the Gemara goes weiter. Rav Huna ki hava asi ladino lekami. Let's listen to this. When Rav Huna would adjudicate a case, the Gemara says, Mechnef umaisi asar rabana mibei rab. Amar ki hechi dilamti shiva mikshura. So I will say, whenever Rav Huna would have to adjudicate a case, he would always assemble a basin of 10 rabbanim. Why? Because at least he said at least this way, ki hecha dilamti shiva mikshura. If you look at Rashi, Rashi says, It's the third wine line from the top. Deminti and Shiv Mikshura, Sheyagienu Nisores Ketana Minakora, Kilamar Shemnita, Yishtalish Onish Ben Kulana Viklumelas. What he's saying is that this way, get literally a chip of wood from the beam, which was another way of saying that if it turns out that we've made a mistake in the ruling, at least the culpability is divided amongst us all. So this way, again, the larger the rabbinic body that's making the decision, the more people there are to bear the responsibility of the mistaken ruling. Rav Ashi, somebody would bring a shayla about a treifa, right? A treifa is an animal with a blemish. So when somebody bring a kashu shayla about a treifa before him, so what happens? So the Gemara says, he would gather all of the butchers of Masa Machasya together. So he said this way again, at least if we make a mistake with the ruling, all of us will bear the responsibility. The more people to bear the responsibility, the more it lessens the personal responsibility on each individual. Ki asir abdimi amar darsha nachman bar kohen ma'dichsiv melech b'mishpat ya'amid aretz v'ish tiruma as yahar sena. We'll say, what does it mean when the pasuk says b'mishpat? A king in justice will uphold the earth, but ish trumos will destroy it. Im dayan domer lemelech shenatzarach leklum ya'amid aretz. If the dayan is like a king who needs nothing, which also means if the dayan is well versed, he knows all of the halachas, just like a king needs no money because he's an ashir. If the dayan is well versed in halachas, he's a tamid chacham, he has all the necessary tools, then again he will uphold this world through his judgment. However, if the dayan in doma lekohen shemachzir bebeis hagranos, but if the dayan is like a kohen, we'll say a kohen, remember, is not rich. Kohen has to go around to the threshing floors to collect the trumas. Then ultimately, again, if the dayan is not self-sufficient, but the dayan needs to rely on others, yahar sena, then he's not an appropriate dayan, and through judging the world, he will destroy it. The beinasiyah, also said the idea being that a dayan has to be self-sufficient. He has to have the requisite tools. He has to be a tamid chacham who's capable of adjudicating the case. The beinasiyah okmu dayana the lahavagamar. We'll say so. One time, he appointed a dayan who was not well versed, wasn't a tamid chacham. And what happens? So they said to Yehuda bar Nachmani, who was the Meturgaman, the spokesman for Reish Lakish, go and be the Meturgaman, be the spokesman for this new dayan. So what happens? So kam gochin alei v'lo amarlei v'lo midi. So what happens? Yehuda bar Nachmani bent over to go ahead and hear what the dayan had to say. And the dayan had nothing to say. The dayan wasn't a tamid chacham, so he had no pearls of wisdom to share. So Amar Pasach Amar Yehuda bar Nachmani said the following: Hi Omer la'itza kitza uri la'evan domim. So we'll say he who says to the tree, "Wake up," says to the stone, "Who yorah," to give judgment. Who tafus kesev v'zav v'choruach in bikirbo. Even if he's coated with gold and silver, there is no life within him. Which I will say is another way of saying. Yehuda bar Nachmani was saying it in a veiled fashion. This guy is not a proper dayan. It may look like a dayan, it might smell like a dayan, it might talk like a dayan, right? But if it doesn't have, meaning it can be coated with gold and silver, but if it doesn't have the real ruach, if it does not have chacham, then it's not a dayan. So ultimately, again, Kadosh Baruch Hu will exact justice from those who put up judges who are not really fit to judge. Shneimar Hashem behechal kadsho has mipanav kol haaretz. Amrei Shlakish. Whoever goes ahead of us and establishes a dayan upon the tzibur, who is not really fit to be a dayan, so ki'ilu notea ashira b'Yisrael. It's as if he goes ahead and he plants an ashira. Also remember, ashira is an avodah zarah tree. In Klal Yisrael, shneimar shovtim v'shotrim titain lecha, because the pasuk says, "You shall go ahead and establish judges and enforcers for you." The samachlei lo sita lecha ashira kolates, and the pasuk says right afterwards, do not plant an ashira for yourselves. Gemara Darshans from here, you see from here that one who goes ahead and appoints an unworthy judge, it's as if he's planted an ashira tree. And we'll say even worse, if one appoints an unqualified judge in a place where there are qualified Talmidei Chachamim, it's as if you plant an ashera tree. and as if you planted it mamish next to the Mizbeach. Shneimar, Eitzal Mizbeach Hashem Elokecha. Lo sasun iti Elokei zav Elokei kesef, Elohei, excuse me, Lo sasun iti Elohei kesef, Elohei zahav. So the pasuk says, God says, bless you, you shall not make for me gods of gold and gods of silver, gods of gold. Elohei kesef, Elohei zahav, Lavidi, had the eight shari. So what do we infer from that? That you can't make gods of gold and silver, but you can make them out of wood. And of course, Amar Rav Ashi, Eloha haba bishvil kesef, veloha haba bishvil zahav. The Gemara is talking about over here about judges. An Eloha, a judge, who will say attains his position through gold, or a judge through silver, or a judge who attains his position through gold. In other words, Torah is giving us a specific prohibition against judges who buy their way onto the judicial bench. Rav, listen to this. Rav, come to Beis Din, he would say the following. He would say, Biraos nafshe likatla nafik. This man, he'd be talking about himself. This man comes to go literally Biraos nafshe likatla nafik. Literally through the Ru'os nafshe, through the badness of it. Through Ru'os nafshe means through the compromised nature of my own circumstances, I come to be killed. What does that mean? Take a look at Rashi. Likatla lisa alav chet va'alatzmo haya omer. Rav was saying literally, I'm putting myself in a position where I might be killed. Or as we'll say, so Rav was going to Rav was going to Beis Din. He was going to be a dayan, and he was literally saying, I put myself in harm's way. Because in other words, we just said before, any dayan who perverts justice ultimately again puts himself in harm's way. Bitzavi beisa less hu avid. Look at Rashi. Bitzavi beisa less hu avid. Sarchi beisa ina osakan. And I don't even take care of my own family. We'll discuss this, but a judge does not draw a salary for becoming a judge. We'll discuss again. A judge is paid by the community for certain things, namely, like we said, like Paul Bottle. He could have gone ahead and done another job. So because of that, he's paid for lost earnings that he could have had in a different profession. But he's saying, here, I put myself in harm's way. I'm not generating income for my own family. And ultimately, again, I go home with nothing because I don't even receive a salary. And halavai, ultimately, again, Rashi says, "She'echzor lebesi kiyetzia she'atzasi basically melochet shelo etavenesh." Halavai, I should be able to leave this Beis Din as I came. I came without sin. I should be izocha to go home without sin. Ki avachazi am buhua disafri abasrei. Also, listen to this. When Rav, this is all talking about Rav. When Rav would go, am buhua disafri, what it means? Rashi says, siyas anoshim. When Rav would see a large group of people following him, or this is a derech of kavod, that he would see a large group of people following him. Amar im ya'ale l'shamayim shio ki galalo lenetzach yoveid. Literally, again, even if his stature ascends to the heavens, ki galalo lenetzach yoveid. Literally, we'll say. I mean, if you look at Rashi, im ya'ale shamayim kadesh lo tazuach daitu alav hayo omer ki galalo galo rei. Even if his stature ascends to the heavens, he will be lost like excrement, which we'll say is the same way that excrement ultimately decays, kavod decays as well. Whereas Rav was saying this in order to keep himself humble. Even though, again, there were these great throngs of people that were following him, he said kavod ultimately doesn't last. Marzucha Chasido, keva mekasve alei b'shabsa deregla. Marzucha Chasido, when they would put him on his shoulders, on the Shabbos of the Regel, was the Shabbos of the Regel was the Shabbos ultimately again 30 days before the Regel. Remember again, the halacha is that they would learn the halachas of a particular Yom Tov for 30 days before that Yom Tov. Specifically on the Shabbos before the Yom Tov, everybody got together. So there were throngs of people who came to learn from Mar Zutra. Now we'll say what they would do is Mar Zutra was already older. So what happens is when Mar Zutra walked into the Beis Medrash, everybody would stand up. In order to minimize the amount of time that people would remain standing, they would put Mar Zutra on their shoulders, and they would whisk him to the front of the Beis Medrash. This was an incredible display of covenant. So he would say, "Kilo olam chosen v'nezer dor vador." So ultimately, again, literally, riches, wealth wealth does not last forever, and the crown goes from generation to generation. Most of the ideal is these rabbanim would say things in moments where they were getting incredible amounts of kavod. There are things that they would say to remind themselves that this kavod is ultimately fleeting. Darash bar kafra. From where do we know this thing that the rabbanan used to say? We'll say, be deliberate in judgment. Be deliberate in judgment. That when you go ahead and you judge, we'll say, so don't issue a verdict quickly, but rather again be very deliberate and slow in issuing the verdict. Where do we know that from? Because the pasuk says that by the mizbeach there were no steps, rather there was only a ramp. So it says, do not go up on steps by the mizbeach. And juxtaposed that, we'll say, is what? These are the laws. So we'll say, what does this mean? So apparently, again, Chazal felt drushas like this. A person could take a number of steps at a time, but by a ramp, by definition, you can only go one step at a time. So the Torah says, Lo salu mizbechi, do not put steps by my mizbeach. And right after that, it says that what? Shoftim is shotrim. So what it means is the same way that there's a ramp by the mizbeach, you can only take one step at a time. So too, when adjudicating a case, having muslimin, be deliberate, take it one step at a time as well. How do we know that a judge literally should not trample on the heads of the holy nation? Rashi says, so we'll say again, when there was a shir going on, so people used to sit on the floor. Right, the Talmidim would sit on the floor. So how do I know that if you walk through the crowd when everybody's sitting on the floor, what does it look like? It looks like you're walking on top of them. That's a display of gaiva. How do I know that I shouldn't make it look like I'm walking on top of the heads of other people? So the pasuk says, "Shene'emar lo saleh b'ma'alos v'samich lei ve'elam mishpatim asher tasim asher telam ve'elam mishpatim asher tasim." Pasuk says, Lo saleh b'ma'alos, literally again, you shall not go up on the steps. And it says after that, these are the laws that you shall place before them. The idea being that the dayan should never make it look like he's walking on the heads of other people. Shabbos says an incredible yisod. How careful I have to be. Every person has to be that lemaisa. I never rise to greatness by stepping on someone else. That if my greatness, if my accomplishment comes through their actual or perceived stepping on someone else, that's not greatness that will endure. The Gemara now here dashes asher talam lemi boy. I want to say, why does the pasuk say ve'elam mishpatim asher tasim? These are the mishpatim that you shall place before them. It should say what? These are the mishpatim asher talam that you shall teach them. Elu kli hadayonim. Both say what it refers to as elu mishpatim asher tasim means that when a judge adjudicates a case, there are certain tools of the trade that should be placed before him. Both say, what are the tools of the trade of a dayan? Get ready for this. So the Gemara says, Rafuna, when Rafuna would go ahead and get ready to judge, he would say, Amar Hachi. He would say to his attendant, the following, Afikule mani chanusai, bring out the tools of my trade. Get ready for this. Makil, a staff, Ritzua, a whip, Shufra, a shofar, Visandala, and a sandal. And both say, now why do I need all of these things? Look at Rashi just a moment. Ba means lamalkus. I will say the strap was there to administer biblical lashes. Makyal, the staff, is lamakas mardus. It's for rabbinic lashes. Shofar, the horn, is there, the shamta v'nidui. If they excommunicated someone, they would blow a shofar. And sandal is for what, says Rashi? Chalitza. So let's say if you were a dayan, you put out the tools of the trade, the staff, the whip, the shofar, and the sandal. Now you're ready for business. And I commanded your judges at that time. Again, what it means is that a person should go ahead and make sure the dayan should make sure to have all of the tools of the trade ready for adjudication. Shamoa ben achechem u'shefatetem. Shabbos said the pasuk says literally Shamoa ben achechem. And what we're gonna dash this pasuk in just a moment. Literally, hear between your brothers, and you shall judge. What does this mean? Amar Rabbi Chanina, Ashar lebezdin shelo yishma divrei baldin kodim shiyovo baldin chavero. We'll say so. Shamoa ben achechem. The Gemara Darshans means that the basin should only hear the case when ben achechem, when both of the litigants are present. But the basin should not hear one side of the story if the other baldin, the other litigant is not present. I will say now why is that? So ultimately, again, Rashi points out because I will say the assumption is people are hesitant to lie in front of the other party. But if a party has the ability to present their side before the other litigant is present, there's a strong possibility that they'll feel empowered not only to present their side of the story, but to make stuff up. Therefore, Shamoa ben Achichem says, Beis Din, do not go ahead and hear the different litigant sides until Achichem, they're both there. V'ashar lebaldin shlo yatim dvar l'dayin. It will say not only a prohibition not to begin to accept testimony until both sides are present, but the litigants are prohibited as well from advancing their particular positions before both are present. Where do we know that? Kodim shavo baldin chavero kari beinami shameya ben achechem. See, I will say shamoa ben achechem means that I, the dayon, cannot listen to one of the sides until both of the sides are present. But that same word shamoa can also be vocalized as how? Shameya ben achechem. I will say, what does shameya ben achechem mean? Do not allow your side of the story to be heard until both sides are present. So there's a prohibition on the dayon, and there's a prohibition ultimately again upon the litigants themselves. Rav Kana said from a different place, same halacha, but different pasuk, milo sisa. So we'll say, so the pasuk over here says, lo sisa shema shav, v'atashes yadchem rasha. So we'll say, if you look at Rashi's lo sisa, it's the first one on the bottom of Rashi. Lo sisa, lo sekabel shema shav, asar l'dayin. So we'll say, interesting enough, the Gemara Rashi, lo sisa shema shav means, do not go ahead and cause a voice to be heard in vain. What does it mean to cause a voice to be heard in vain? Do not accept testimony from one of the sides until both sides are present. That can also be vocalized as lo sasi. Do not allow your side to be heard in vain. When is it in vain? When both sides are not present. An incredible yisod. Shama, you should just know, Shama ben Achichem also teaches me an incredible yisod in life. That's what? There are two sides to the story. And before you go ahead and ever forge any opinions about a particular matter, Shamoa ben Achechem, make sure you've heard all sides of the story before formulating your own personal judgments. Because if you only get one side and you only formulate the judgment based on that, it's going to be skewed. So let's just finish up. Pasuk says, "Ushefatatem tzedek," you shall judge correctly or judge justly. Amar Reish Lakish, tzedek es hadin, ba'achar kach chatchehu. We'll say what it means is literally tzedek es hadin. Make sure that what you are saying is correct, and only then render the verdict. In other words, that the dayan should make sure the dayan should process, make sure that what you're saying is correct, and then and only then should you deliver the verdict. Bein ish ubein achav ubein ger. Let's listen to this. I'm Rabbi Yehuda. Afilu bein bayis la'aliyah. So what does this mean? That if you're adjudicating a case in Yerusha, and let's say the father dies, Yaakov dies and leaves behind two sons, Reuven and Shimon, and the one piece of Yerusha that Yaakov left behind was what? Was a home, and the home has two stories. Fine. Reuven, you get the first story. Shimon, you get the second story. Rather, what do you have to do about it? You have to look at the value of the individual stories and make sure that the stories, right, the levels, right, are of equal value. If they're not of equal value, you have to make sure that both children are getting equal amount of use. What the Gemara is saying over here is don't do a half-baked job. If you're going to be a dayan, then see it. It's an incredible yisod in life in general. If you look at things superficially and just render judgment based on you're going to make mistakes. If you're taking on the responsibility, then make sure you see it through that it's appropriate. I'm sorry. Even if all you're adjudicating is a case of Yerusha between a man and his brother, and it looks simple, it's not simple. You have to delve down and make sure that what you're dividing up is financially appropriate as well. So, what does it mean to be Geira? Listen to this. Even if I was say you're adjudicating a case and you're dividing up a tanur and kirayim. So we'll say, remember again, tanur and kirayim are both different types of stoves. Even if all you're dividing up is a Yerusha, and you're dividing up. Look at Rashi. Bein Tanur ben Kirayim, ubein Gero. Rashi says, I'm sorry, third wide line, third line from the bottom. Lashon Magor. So we'll say this. Ben Gero, the Gemara is actually Lashon Magor. Magor means household utensils. Tashmishe Dira. Al Tomer Yital Ze Tanur V'Zekira. Share Tanur Odef Al Kira. We'll say a tanur is a stove with 2 burners versus a kira, which is a stove with 1 burner. So we'll say even if you're dividing up an estate and there's a tanur and kirayim, well, don't just say this one gets the tanur or this one gets the kirayim. Rather, understand that there's a financial difference. There's a value between those 2 things. Therefore, as the dayan, my job is to make sure that each of the litigants or each of the children ultimately, again, are getting the same value in what it is that they're receiving. The idea that the Torah is telling us is, dayan, if you're going to undertake this responsibility, do not engage in a superficial dayanos, but rather make sure that when you adjudicate and when you pass judgment, you are being dan din la'amito. Justice is being served. Equity is being served, and at the end of the day, you are doing your role as a shutaf in HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Maaseh B'Rish. So we'll stop over here for today. We'll pick up at Mirat Hashem with right over here tomorrow morning. I will say Rosh Chodesh tomorrow morning, which means that Yomi begins at 5:45. Shacharis is at 6:30. Regular schedule resumes on Tuesday. Mirat Hashem. What you got? Some.